When you think of Doctor Who story arcs, where does your mind go? Bad Wolf, Mr. Saxon, the Pandorica? The Hybrid. Well, what if I told you that there's a series arc in the revival of Doctor Who that has basically been lost to time? An abandoned story arc where the setup, it still exists, but it clearly didn't get over the finish line. Whether it was due to production issues, or maybe just the creative team changing their minds and it was too late to hide the evidence. Well, today we're going to be taking a look at Doctor Who's forgotten story arc, where, nearly a decade later, we still have no answers for it. Let's dive in. So the year is 2012, and we're just starting Series 7. It's Stephen Moffat and Matt Smith's third year as showrunner and the Doctor respectively. We've had the Pandorica, the Cracks in Time, and the Exploding TARDIS be the arcs of Series 5, and with Series 6 it was the silence and the death of the Doctor at the hands of Riversong in an astronaut suit. So what's the arc of Series 7, the show's 50th anniversary series? Well, it's a complicated question, because at first glance you'd think it was the impossible girl, Clara Oswald played by Jenna Coleman, and also trying to pay off the first question that must never be answered. And while that is the arc that wound up on screen in Series 7, Series 7 was split up into two, and it's not until the beginning of Part 2 of Series 7, 6 episodes in, that we first meet Clara. Well, technically we do meet incarnations of Clara in the series premiere Asylum of the Daleks and also the Christmas special The Snowmen, but properly meet as a companion Clara is in the Bells of St. John. So what's happening in Series 7 Part 1? What's the arc there? Well, there really isn't one, but if you pay close attention to some recurring themes and moments in the episodes, you will see a pattern start to emerge. Don't believe me? Let's take a look. Let's go all the way back to the Series 7 premiere, Asylum of the Daleks, and our first clue arrives before the title sequence even kicks in. We've got companions Amy and Rory signing divorce papers just before they're taken away by Dalek agents. Amy signs the papers and a makeup artist then walks in, and we can see the light bulbs at the vanity mirror starting to flicker and flash. We even get a nice close-up of it happening just before the agent kidnaps Amy. On its own, this is clearly just the lights in the makeup room responding to the Dalek agent, right? Well, yeah, on its own, that's what it looks like, but let's hop into the next episode. We've got dinosaurs on a spaceship, and another pre-title sequence that involves Amy and Rory. We even have Rory's dad Brian along for the ride. Their establishing scene has Brian trying to fix a light in their ceiling, and while Brian thinks it's the fitting that's the issue, Rory thinks it's the bulb.
I think it's the fitting.
Dad, it's not the fitting, it just needs a new bulb.
Riveting. The TARDIS arrives taking the three away before we get much more information, but we do revisit this plot thread at the end of the episode. The Doctor has dropped the supporting cast off back at home, and Rory is once again looking at the bulb.
Do you know what? I think it is the fitting.
In the next episode, A Town Called Mercy, we get past the title sequence and have our TARDIS trio making their way through the western town, and we even have the Doctor acknowledge these flickering lights.
That's not right.
Now, the Doctor does acknowledge that this has drawn his attention because it's a street lamp about 10 years too early, and it also ties into the alien scientist Carla Jex helping out the community.
Using my ship as a generator, I was able to rig up some rudimentary heating and lighting for the town.
The Doctor also rummages a cable while searching for Jex's ship, which causes the lights to flicker again. It's this flickering, along with the Doctor triggering the ship's alarm, that causes Jex to realise that the Doctor is not following their plan. Then we have our next episode, The Power of Three, and here you kind of do have to stretch the credibility of this theory somewhat, as there is no reference to bulbs, unless you count the unit base in London losing the lights just before the cubes start their countdown. The episode even references this power cut as the cubes zapping the power and using that current to attack human hearts. But then in The Angels Take Manhattan, we're dealing with the Weeping Angels here, and there's flickering light bulbs abound. But I acknowledge this is also a stretch. Weeping Angels have been flickering lights and flickering light bulbs since their first appearance in Series 3. So is that it? That's all of Series 7 Part 1. So has the trail gone cold? Believe it or not, no. Because in the Christmas special that takes place in between Series 7 Part 1 and Series 7 Part 2, The Snowmen, we've got a scene where Clara and the Doctor are running away from the Ice Lady, and Clara kisses the Doctor, and, well, This light bulb cutaway comes completely out of nowhere in the episode. It's not informed by anything. It's not like in Asylum of the Daleks where you can just write it off as electrical interference because the Daleks are nearby. This is just random, but slightly less random are the flickering bulbs in the next episode, The Bells of St. John, when the Great Intelligence possesses the people at the cafe the Doctor and Clara are working at. And then after that, the trail goes cold. Now, am I overthinking this? Absolutely, but it's not like I'm grasping at nothing here. Like, this is stuff that is in the episodes, and it is recurring. In the final episode of the Series 7 prequel series, Pond Life, the Doctor is replacing the bulb at the top of the TARDIS. In fact, this recent replacement is brought up in The Angels Take Manhattan.
Does the bulb on top need changing?
Just changed it.
I even think you could argue that the light bulbs in Asylum of the Daleks might not even be Dalek related at all. After all, when Rory gets kidnapped on the bus, we don't see any lights flickering. It's not like the lights on the bus or the headlamps get any sort of focus, it's just a fade to white. And to top it all off, the title sequence gets darker every episode.
Coincidence? I think not!
Now, it's no secret that Series 7 was a really difficult series for Stephen Moffat and the production team to put together. Moffat was writing the 50th anniversary specials, Series 7 of the show, and Series 3 of Sherlock at the same time. So maybe some rewriting and some redrafting was necessary to make everything fit together for time constraints. And it's possible that some subplot or some motif involving light bulbs on Earth just wound up on the cutting room floor in the end. Don't forget, this is Series 7 of Doctor Who we're talking about here. The series finale, The Name of the Doctor, doesn't even have an ending. The War Doctor shows up for the cliffhanger, and then we just meet the Doctor and Clara an undisclosed amount of time later for the Day of the Doctor 50th anniversary special. Everything else in that finale is just dropped. It's even been rumoured that some episodes were broadcast out of order for this series. For example, in A Town Called Mercy, the Doctor makes reference to Rory leaving his phone charger at Henry VIII's. However, they don't meet Henry VIII until the next episode in The Power of Three. Though it has been theorised that that scene in The Power of Three is actually centred on the Doctor, Rory and Amy returning to get the phone charger back. So, Series 7 started broadcasting in September 2012, nearly 10 years ago, and as far as I'm aware, none of the Series 7 Part 1 writers, Stephen Moffat, Toby Whithouse and Chris Chibnall, they've never spoken publicly about this. But I imagine if anyone were to interview them or chat with them about their time working on Doctor Who, what on earth happened with the light bulbs is probably a question that's really low down on the priorities list. Worst case scenario, the whole thing was a massive coincidence.
Never ignore a coincidence. Unless you're busy, in which case always ignore a coincidence.
And at best, it was a series arc or a long-running thread that they were able to drop and maybe address later if necessary. For example, in The Bells of St. John, the Doctor and Clara wind up meeting because Clara got the Doctor's phone number from some woman in a shop. It later turned out that this was Missy who was trying to get them to meet each other, and no, it didn't make sense in the end, but it did technically pay off. But conversely, in the same story, the Doctor questions why Clara became a nanny for the Maitland family because it's completely not her personality type, but this is a thread that's never addressed again, much like the light bulbs. But maybe I'm wrong, maybe this has been some massive long-running thread that everyone has just missed that's been paying off secretly during the Capaldi and the Whittaker years. But who knows, let me know in the comment section down below. Did you notice this trend in Series 7? In this video, did I miss anything? Are there any more clues that I didn't acknowledge? And what do you think this was leading up to? If anything, was it maybe an omen for the Weeping Angels trying to track down and hunt down Rory like the Doctor warned him would happen in The Angels Take Manhattan?
Even if you got out, you'd have to keep running for the rest of your life. They would be chasing you forever.
Was it something really complicated that revolved around the Doctor and Clara, or was it something really simple such as the location team struggling with the electrical generator for the first few blocks of filming? But thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe for more videos like it, smash that like button, really helps me out, and I'll see you all next time.